Hey everyone, this is Michael with Christopher Street Tours, and on today's episode of Queer History, we're going to be talking about a group called the Lavender Menace, a group of radical lesbian feminists that was formed in 1970. The Lavender Menace was formed to protest the exclusion of lesbians within the feminist movement, specifically at a forum called the Second Congress to Unite Women in New York City in May of 1970. This event was a whole weekend of feminist talks and workshops held by the National Organization for Women. The phrase Lavender Menace was first used by the leader of the National Organization for Women, referring negatively to outspoken lesbians. The color lavender is often associated with the LGBTQ+ community, and the group of lesbians was referred to as a menace because the leader of NOW saw the group as a threat, specifically to the feminist movement. To better understand the Lavender Menace, it's important first to understand a brief history of feminism. Feminist theory breaks down feminism mainly into three waves. The first wave was mostly concerned with the women's right to vote in the 19th and early 20th century. The second wave, which we'll be expanding on today, focused on the women's liberation movement for equal legal and social rights in the 1960s and 1970s. The third wave, beginning in the 1990s, refers to a time of embracing individualism and diversity that sought to redefine what it meant to be a feminist. During the second wave of feminism, many women believed that lesbians were a threat to progressing women's rights. They worried that any association to lesbian women would damper real political change. One organization in particular that held these beliefs was the National Organization for Women. The organization attempted to distance itself from all lesbian causes in 1969. This led to an angry resignation from lesbian feminist Rita Mae Brown, who then worked for the organization. Rita Mae Brown had suggested that in response, other radical lesbian feminists organize a protest. Based on her advice, a group formed to protest and lead a demonstration at the Second Congress to Unite Women in May of 1970. Out of all the speakers in the forum, there was not one openly lesbian woman that was scheduled to speak. The group prepared a 10-paragraph manifesto and titled it Women Identified Women. They made t-shirts dyed lavender with the words Lavender Menace across the front, and they also made protest signs to hang around the auditorium. About 300 women attended this event, and as soon as the first speaker took the stage, the Lavender Menace turned off all the lights and turned off the microphone. When the lights came back on, both aisles of the auditorium were lined with the lesbian radical feminist group, the Lavender Menace, all wearing their lavender shirts. The women began passing out their manifesto and took the stage. They explained how angry and frustrated they were about the exclusion of lesbians from the event, but also from the movement as a whole. Some women in the audience tried to silence them, but they were overpowered. The next day, members of the Lavender Menace were allowed to hold several workshops on lesbian rights, and there was even an all-women's dance later in the weekend. The events that unfolded at the Second Congress to Unite Women are often seen as a turning point in the second wave of feminism. Others also see this as a defining moment for lesbian feminism. After the event, the women that formed the Lavender Menace decided to continue meeting and form a lasting organization. They renamed themselves the Radical Lesbians. The Radical Lesbians believed in a non-hierarchical structure and group decisions made by group consensus. The group believed in female separatism, which meant that many refused to associate with men or with women who refused to cut their ties to heteronormative culture. Because of this radical stance, several of the group members left the organization, going back to the Gay Liberation Front or other LGBTQ+ advocacy groups. Although short-lived, the Lavender Menace and the Radical Lesbians were crucial in bringing more visibility to lesbians within the feminist movement. In addition, their Women Identified Women manifesto is a classic document in lesbian feminist history. Today, a similar struggle exists within the feminist movement. There is often tension between the intersection of radical feminists and the queer community, specifically those that do not believe that trans folks should be included in the feminist movement. In a new fourth wave of feminism, originating in about 2012, the focus has shifted to women's empowerment. This new wave of feminism is also more inclusive and more accepting, specifically to trans women. While there is still a long way to go for equal rights for women, including trans women, the Lavender Menace helps set a precedent for inclusive advocates and activists across the world. And with that concludes this episode of Queer History with Christopher Street Tours. Be sure to subscribe to our channel below and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Christopher Street Tours for more queer history. Until next time. Christopher Street Tours is an LGBTQ-owned organization. Our mission is to make LGBTQ history accessible and engaging, sharing stories and uplifting voices from those who paved the way before us. For more information and resources, please visit ChristopherStreetTours.com.